So we've gone through creating that first impression. We've moved on to the questioning sequence, and we talked last time about which position in the company they're in, with the executive buyer, the user buyer, the technical buyer, the financial buyer. We've looked at the personality style, driver type, amiable type, influencer, or sometimes called expressive, or the analytical buyer. So for each buyer, we have a different communication pattern that works for them. And now we've gone through the questioning skills: as is, should be, barrier, payout, and particularly look in the implication of no action. So we've done all that. So we've gotten to a point now where we actually have listened to the client. We are aware of what they want. We've realized actually we do have a solution for them. Now, how do we present the solution? And before we go into presenting the solution, we just put a little bridge in there, which you see here is called a capability statement. This is just a little transition point from, I've been asking you a whole bunch of questions. Now I'm going to tell you what we're going to do for you to let you know that I can help you. Because as we said before, we go through, this is what we do, this is what we've done for a particular client, maybe we could do the same for you, maybe we could do the same for you, is a bit of uncertainty, we're not sure about that. To help me understand if that's possible, may I ask a few questions? Now we've asked the questions, that's great. We've listened, we've realized, you know what, we can actually help this client. So now we've got to transition into offering our solution. This is where the capability statement comes in. So we're going to tell them what the solution is, just in very broad brush. We're going to go back to their primary interest, the thing that they wanted to achieve. We're going to go back and say, we can do that for you. And then you appeal to motives. This is that payout section of what's in it for them, the individual. So we start linking the key drivers in their mind that we can actually deliver on. Okay? Do you see how that works there? So in your manuals, we're on page 2.16. So think of a particular buyer, preferably somebody you've already done maybe some work for, where you've actually had a sale. So we sort of go back a little bit. Think about the solution that you offered them, and then try and think back, what was the primary interest they were looking at, and then what was the buying motive? Perhaps at that stage you didn't know what the buying motive is, because you may not have been using this full set of questioning techniques yet. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to approach it in that way that's going to hit a lot of resonance with the buyer. This is a very brief, this is only a transition, then we go into solution provision. Got the idea? So spend a couple of moments, just get that down, think of a particular buyer, think about what the solution is, what the primary interest was, and if you can, maybe you didn't ask the buying motive, but just imagine what the buying motive might have been and prepare something on that, and we'll get you to present it and see how that sounds. Again, not too long, it's a transition between questioning skills into solution provision. Okay, so go for that. But you're relating it to the individual so that they feel committed to this, you see, because when it's just a company, the company is over here and I'm over here, and yeah, we fix all the company problems, but I'm still here. If you can fix the company problem, that's a primary interest, and do something for the individual, that's the motive, then you hit both. It's very powerful, and they feel a lot more commitment to the solution when their own interests are wrapped up in the company's interests. That's where I'm going with this. That's why I'm pushing you on making sure that the motive for that individual is very strong, wrapped up inside this overall solution. If you only hit the company-wide solution, that's good, but if you can get their interest involved as well and solve problems for them, that's the total package. Okay? Any questions on that section? Remember, this is a transition from questioning skills and answers onto solution provision. So now we move on. So we've gotten down through, we ask our questions with implications, financial buyer, executive buyer, technical buyer, user buyer. We've looked at the primary interest, the what they want. We've looked at the buying motive, the why they want it, other considerations, the buying criteria, the spec, etc. We've come up with the capability statement, which is the bridge. So now we can move on. And we develop solutions, okay, for the client, which is unique, obviously, to each buyer. We appeal to both logic and emotions, okay? And the solutions should be persuasive and convincing, all right? So it's got to have evidence in there. So now we've started with planning, rapport, interest. This was first impressions, build the trust, interest, asking the questions, understand what they want, widen the gap between where it is now and where they want it to be. Now we're here, solution provision. So the solution rule. This is very critical. Give buyers enough information and no more. What will be the benefit to them? And convince them that they are fully justified in buying. Why do you think we say the rule is we give them enough information and no more? Why would we do that?
Information is power.
Sorry?
Information is power.
Information is power, yes. What does that mean?
That's what they buy.
Sorry?
You're giving them the tools to go and do it themselves when they realise they don't need you.
Oh, I see what you mean. You're giving them so much information they realise, oh, we can do that ourselves. Okay, yeah, that's one reason. Yeah, what else?
Maybe like you're selling them the boat, you're not telling about the anchors that are attached kind of thing.
You're selling them the boat and you what, sorry?
You're not telling about all the anchors that are hanging off.
Oh, you're talking about the anchors and not the boat.
No, you sell them the boat. You don't say, by the way, there's 20 anchors attached.
Right.
Pull up before you can use the boat.
Oh, okay.
I might use that next time.
Yeah, telling them about the boat, not the anchors. Well, yes and no, because if you're dishonest about the solution, that'll come back later to haunt you.
Always have anchors. That doesn't mean you talk about all the labor you're going to have to do, rigging the sails and the anchors, and getting everything ready. You just want to sell them the boat for now.
That's right. Yeah. Sell them the idea of sailing rather than all the hard work that goes. But I understand what you mean. But I'm just making the point that never ever underestimate the power of having credibility by being honest with your client. And if it's not the right thing for them, don't sell it to them, because it damages them, it damages your company, damages your reputation individually or personally. And it's a very short-term solution. So I understand where you're going with that. I agree, but be careful. We're not trying to fool anybody here. If it doesn't suit and there are problems, then you better get those up front, because worst thing is they buy it and then they find out the problems. And guess what? They're going to be very unhappy. So why don't we give them too much information?
Maybe they've got too much to choose from there.
That's right. Yes, you give them too much information, it's confusing. Every piece of information replaces the last piece of information, and then suddenly they're like, oh, gee, trying to grapple with all this stuff. Enough information to make a clear buying decision, and no more. Now, salespeople love to talk, and often they'll get themselves into trouble by confusing the client, as Una said, with too much information, or adding that extra little piece. They've got the buying signal. The client is nodding, body language is, yep, this sounds good. And the urge to just add that extra little thing there of value is strong in salespeople. And they add that little extra piece of information, which then triggers something in the client that takes them off on a tangent, or makes them start worrying about things they needn't worry about. You raise issues that you don't need to raise, that aren't a concern, really. You know, if it's a legitimate concern, that's different. But I'm just saying we can confuse the issue. We muddy the waters by going too far. So restrain your urge. When you get to a point where you've given enough solution information, they can make a buying decision. You know this is the right decision for the client, for their best interests. not fooling them now, it's their best interest. Shut up. Don't add one piece of information more than you need. It's tempting. You just want to go that extra step. Don't. Once they've agreed, then close it out. Leave that office and go and find your next client. Get busy there. You've got the deal done, bed it down, move on. Or get back to the office, start with a follow-up. Get the action going. Don't put more on that pile of benefits. You've gotten there, it's enough, right? Very key lesson. If you find yourself, after they've agreed, wanting to go that extra step, restrain yourself. Don't do it. Now talk about action. Now talk about execution. Move straight to that piece. When will we do it? What shall we do? Get straight into that. Don't get any diversion, any more confusion. That's very, very critical. So in the solution elements, we go through the capability statement, which we've just practiced, which is we can do it. It'll address your primary interest. It'll address your dominant buying motive. Then we go into fact, or the feature of the solution. We bridge into the benefit. Now, this is very interesting. The vast majority of salespeople never get past the fact or feature. They'll tell you about the service, they'll tell you about the product. They'll go through the different features of it. That's where they stop. Better salespeople will start talking about the benefits of the feature. For example, if I take this bottle of water, now it has so many milliliters of size, okay? It's a certain type of water. Looks like it comes from Switzerland, right? It's got a certain brand name, Evian. Okay, it's got a cap, certain size and weight. Now, that's just features. What are the benefits? What do you think the benefits are? Give me some benefits on this bottle of water.
Hydration.
Hydration, yeah, that's one benefit. What else?
It's a handy size.
It's a handy size to carry around, isn't it? It's not, you can get a big litre bottle, right? Can you stick that in your pocket? Not very easily. Is it heavy? Yes. This is not heavy, portable. What else is a benefit?
It's a trendy brand.
It's a trendy brand in the sense of brand, provides safety, believability. If they tell me this is natural water, this brand credibility is high, I can probably believe it's not straight out of the tap, and put a organic whatever on it, or natural water on it. Yeah, what else? What do you think? What's another benefit?
It's a PET bottle, it's recyclable.
PET bottle, it's recyclable, save the planet, yeah. What about this?
Screw cap.
Screw cap, what's the benefit of that?
It can be resealed.
Resealed, right? So sometimes you buy something that once you open it, it's open. You can't reseal it, so you have to consume it right there or waste it. So the benefits here are resealable cap. So you can take some, like I did, and then store it, and then come take some later. So this is the difference, see? I can talk about the weight, I can talk about the quality of the water, I can talk about the size of the thing, all that type of technical spec, but that's not what people are buying. They're buying hydration, they're buying portability, flexibility, they're buying resealability, they're buying trust. That's the benefit. So we've got to be very careful when our conversation is with the client that we're not talking about the features of what we do. You don't talk about, oh, well, there's, for example, readership of 30,000 people. That is a fact. There's a readership of 30,000 people. What's the benefit of that? What's the benefit of a readership of 30,000 people?
More people seeing your brand.
Critical buying audience. Those 30,000 are composed of the decision makers. All right, so the benefit is it's a big readership which covers the key decision makers who can take action around your proposition. You see, it's not just the fact that there are 30,000, it's 30,000 who can actually make a decision, or within that 30,000 there's a big enough proportion to make a decision to buy. All right? That's the benefit, is the decision to buy part, not the number. You see the difference? Okay. So we then get into application, right? And this, I've actually probably gone into application a little bit there, where I've said readership is 30,000, that's a fact. This is important because, there's the bridge, in that 30,000 are all the critical senior decision makers, okay? And they, now we go into application, are the ones who are going to give the approval to go ahead with what you're offering. Okay. And the evidence of that is, recently we had a promotion with XYZ company. The key decision makers in the buying market saw that promotion, contacted the company, they made sales which amounted year on year to be an increase of 35% over the previous year. That's your evidence. Then we go into trial close. Do you think something like that would work for you? There's a trial close. Do you get the idea how this works? All right? So remember, most salespeople never use a capability statement because they don't ask any questions. That's the first problem. So asking questions is basic, and then you need a bridge between the questioning skills into the solution provision. So you need the capability statement. This is, yes, we can do it. It's going to address what you want, your primary objective. It's going to also address that dominant buying motive, or what's in it for you personally, the individual I'm talking to. Now I'm going to take, and it'll be more than one fact. There'll be a series of things in your solution which will have facts attached to them. So you take one of the many solutions you're probably going to talk about, because there's different aspects to your products and services. So you start with one of them, you talk, well, here's the fact of what we can do. This is why that's beneficial to you. This is how it's been used. And here's some evidence where another company used it, and this is the result they got. And then you go into a trial close, maybe we could do the same for you. That's the flow, right? So this is something you have to absolutely remember to go through when you're preparing to present that solution to the client. Don't leave any bits out, because, if you can get into just even getting the benefit by just not only presenting the fact, but presenting the benefit, you're probably already in the top 10% of salespeople, because 90% of people don't even talk about benefits. Now, if you can go that extra step, and this is where Dale Carnegie sales training is really powerful, because no one else does this. They get to here, if they even get to there, and that's it. Then they go into trial close. You're taking the benefit, and then you're taking out from the benefit how they can apply that benefit in their business specifically. That resonates with them, okay? Resonates with them very powerfully. Then you provide evidence, okay? This is the logic part, okay? Fact is just a fact. Benefit is logic. Application, you're going to have some emotion in there. Some emotion on how great this is going to be for them. Here's the evidence, and then the trial close to make sure you ask for the order, because we get to this point, we want to find out how we're tracking, don't we? Because we don't know whether they've accepted this as an idea or not. Do they have a problem with the solution? There might be something we don't know about. We might be suggesting something here, but actually when you get to the trial close, it comes out that for whatever reason, compliance reasons, budgeting reasons, policy reasons, that solution that you've talked about may not work for them. It'd be good to know early, right? Good to know early, because then you need to go in and find another solution to line up. Any questions on this? All right, okay, well, let's have some practice again in pairs. Select your buyer. Need, and look, you've got a number of needs there, right? More than one need, more than one fact, more than one benefit, more than one application. So pick out a couple, some evidence. Now, just on the evidence side there, you'll notice it's got the acronym DEFEATS, right? Evidence defeats doubt. And if you look on page 3.7, you see it's talking about, it might be a demonstration, something you can actually show, like you mentioned before, you bring the evidence of the journal or whatever it is. right? The D for demonstration, E for example, right? So you give an example. F for some facts, right? The E for exhibit. Now, exhibit, again, it could be something physical you can show people. The A for analogy. Now, an analogy is comparing two unrelated things together to make a point. Okay? So you're taking, to try and explain something complicated, you take two simple things that are unrelated and link them together. Like often in, say for example, selling is like flying an aircraft. Now I've taken selling and flying an aircraft. They are unrelated things, but I'm now going to bring them together through an analogy. When you're flying an aircraft, the most dangerous point is takeoff and landing. In a sales conversation, initial rapport, building the trust, building the credibility, getting the attention of the client is very critical. The landing is getting the commitment to buy. You can do a really great job on the questioning skills, really great job on the solution provision, overcome any hesitation they have, and then not ask for the order. There's no deal. So in the same way that flying an aircraft has a takeoff and landing as critical points, the sales process, the beginning and the end, are also critical points. Now there's an analogy that takes flying an aircraft, comparing it to sales. You see how that works? And T, testimonial. So if you can get them, and it might be on your phone, you get a client, pull out your phone, get them to say, a very short burst on how happy they are with your service, film it, keep it on your phone, show it to the client. Or they write something out for you, show it to the client. That's a testimonial, very strong. On our website, we use Warren Buffett quite a lot because he's a big fan of Dale Carnegie, and we've got him on video saying that this changed my life. That's a pretty good testimonial from the most successful business person in history. Okay, and then S is statistics, right? So it's facts, data. You can talk about readership, you can talk about penetration, you can talk about repeat customers, you can talk about any number of things that make it very strong. So when you get to the evidence part, these are the sorts of things you want to populate that discussion with, all right? So these are hardcore things you can use. Because the clients want to know about your solution. Well, what is your solution? You've just asked me a whole bunch of questions. You've told me you can help me. You've told me you've got a solution. Well, tell me about it. What is it? And that's great. Well, okay, well, how will that exactly work? And why is that the thing I should do? Why is that important? And by the way, who says so? And particularly, can you prove it? So clients have a lot of doubt at this stage. When they're just asked questions by us and they're answering, they've got full control over that part of the puzzle. They know about their business. They can answer your questions. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. And so they immediately have doubt about what a salesperson says because, what do you think? Why do they have doubt about what a salesperson says? Why would they doubt salespeople? What do you think? Why would they doubt us? Because we're trying to sell something. Why else?
Because there are shifty salespeople out there.
Because there are shifty salespeople out there. Have they been burnt before? Have you ever bought something you regretted? Anchors! Came with the yacht.
Damn it.
So remember, our clients have been trained by evil people masquerading as salespeople, dudding the client, giving them poor quality, poor service, inflated prices, no value. So we all retreat to our comfort zone of what's safe and sound. We are asking the client to come out of the known comfort zone and branch out and incorporate us into their world, an unknown quantity. So there's risk attached to that. So naturally the clients, they're skeptical. That's why who says so and can you prove it are fairly critical elements in explaining what we do. And so don't miss those bits. That's why just giving the fact is not convincing. How do I know that's actually true? And so what about the fact? You've got to have the benefit. And so what about the benefit? Yeah, the benefit in isolation is interesting. But again, so what? This is where the application of the benefit is really important part to bring out. And this will put you in the top 1% of salespeople right now, if you can master this and make sure it happens every time. And strong evidence. Now, in some cases, you don't have strong evidence because it's a new product or you haven't been in the business very long. Find out what's happened with other clients in the past. Go back through the records and find out. Go and talk to those clients. Ring them up. Oh, hi, it's Greg Story from Carnegie Training here. Your company did some training with us 3 years ago, and I believe you were the person in charge. Do you remember that training? Oh, great. Thank you very much. By the way, how did that training work out for you? I heard afterwards that it was very well received and that people were really using it. But, you know, a couple of years have passed since then. Can you actually see some benefits from that training? Oh, you did. What were they? Blah, blah, blah. So you can actually collect this information, if you don't have it now, as part of your evidence. And don't make it up. Don't make it up. I was with a client recently. I was talking about our high-impact presentation skills program, which is like the Rolls-Royce level of presentation training. And I referenced a client in this town. And the buyer said, oh, I know him. I'm going to give him a call. Now, if I'd made that up and just said, threw a name out there, right? And he calls that guy up and says, oh, we didn't do any training with Dale Carnegie. What is he talking about? How's my credibility? Zero, right? So you don't make stuff up. It's got to be real because they will check. And the next meeting, they bought, right? I had one meeting, introduced it. Second meeting, they bought it. We deliver the training next month. And now we are talking to them, that 12-page proposal I talked about before, that's for the next part, for a different section of that company, right, is growing. It all comes back to you've got to be honest. Your evidence must be real. And then don't forget the trial close because we want to take them down the line there to see if we've actually got any resistance. If something's not clear or we haven't answered all their needs, this will flush it out. And then we went through the defeats, a demonstration of something, right? You got your example that you're going to give. It's a clear fact. It's an exhibit, something you can show them. Analogies to combine difficult things together and make it simple. Testimonial could be video, could be audio, could be on paper. And then statistics, which back up what you're saying. All very powerful in the evidence department. Now, this is also important in communication. Okay? What we do, okay? We're in the sales area, helping clients. How we explain what we do must be concise, right? Concise, clear, so the client can get it in a couple of seconds, what we do. Now, this is very critical. How we say it, okay? How we say it. Semantics matter in sales. Okay, how we say it, the tone of our voice makes a big difference. Being friendly makes a big difference. Having energy makes a big difference. And what we say. Don't let your words let you down. Don't use weak words like we had an example before. This could be a potential lead. Bad pairing of words. A lead is either a lead or it's not a lead. It's a potential sale from the lead, but the lead itself is not potential, it's real. A lead is a lead. So don't diminish the power of the word lead by putting another word like potential in front of it and kill that power. So we've got to be very careful about what we actually say and the tone with which you say it. And then finally, how do we look? We talked in the rapport building stage about first impressions, and you gave me a 2-second window. 2-second window to make that first impression, right? So how we look is how people judge us. So if you talk about high quality and you've got scuffed shoes, or the heels are worn down, or your makeup's not quite right, right? Or you've got tears or something in your clothes, you know, your necktie here's all worn away, or, you know, it's not quite looking the part, and you're talking about quality, you're talking about reliability. Maybe the client gets one picture of you and what they see, and they get a different picture of what you're telling them, and the things don't match up. When you go and see high-end jewelry sales, if you go to high-end jewelry stores, if you go to luxury car dealerships, go and have a look. Look at how the people are dressed. Look how they are dressed. Right? They are dressed very, very specifically because their clientele is at a certain standard of wealth and expectation. So they have to go to that level. It's always a bit of an irony if you're in the prestige area. Many, many years ago in Australia, I was involved in selling commercial real estate actually, but we sometimes had Japanese buyers who wanted luxury homes. And I would take them through these beautiful luxury homes, you know, with sort of place to put your yacht or your power boat, you know, and stunning houses. These like millions of dollars in these houses. Then I go home to my place, you know. Didn't look like that. But I had to look like that in the meeting. I didn't have the wealth that they had, but I was in that business. So I had to look at that level. So same thing. Don't think it doesn't matter. It matters. Before you walk out the door in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself this one question. Do I look like the most successful person in my business field? Do I look like the most successful business person in my business field? If you don't, go back inside until you do. How you look counts, right? Don't overlook that. 2-second window, first impression is going to be this, and a bit of voice, body language. They're making a lot of assumptions about us, but we've got to get the communication right for all of these. So, as you say here, grooming, gestures, you know, smiling, helping the client relax, facial expression, right? Sometimes you should be serious, sometimes you should be relaxed, voice modulation, accessories, you know, depends on the business you're in, okay? Depends on the business you're in, but you want to have a look at these things. Like, for example, if you are trying to show a certain level of sophistication, then you'll need to, maybe you're going to have things like French cuffs, for example, if you're a man. Or maybe you're going to have certain watch or earrings or something if you're a woman. There's going to be something about you that's going to highlight a certain level of sophistication through sense of what you're doing, how it's all put together. These things matter because we are judging you very quickly in 2 seconds on how you look. Can't miss that. How we act, right? Now we've got 4 personality styles we're dealing with, right? We've got the driver type, time is money, don't waste my time. We've got the opposite, the amiable type, let's have a cup of tea, let's get to know each other. You've got the expressive or influencer, the big picture person, don't bother me with the details, let's talk about the big picture. And then you've got the 3 decimal places, stats, very detail-oriented person. So depending on who they are, we might need to vary this. You know, an extremely exuberant, over-enthusiastic person with an amiable may not be a good match. They might like something a bit more decorous. Or sometimes we might need to lift their energy a bit by raising our level of excitement to bring them with us, right? But remember, you should be confident because you are in front, you've earned the right to be in front of them, to present your service because you're an expert in that area. And you're eager to share because you're going to help them. You are going to help them with their business. You're going to help grow their business. You should be excited, eager to get out there and share what you've got, which is your solution for their problem. You should be trying to get your solution to as many people's problems as fast as you can. If you have that energy inside you that I'm going to find people who've got problems and I'm going to fix their problems and help them grow their business, that is a very powerful thing And it comes across as a very honest thing, not, I'm going to get a big bonus, I'm going to make a lot of money, I'm going to have the Rolex watch, I'm going to have the Bentley, I'm going to have the luxury home. It's all about me, me, me. Different game. Different sales game completely there. And the client will feel it. So if you have that view, then you're going to have a lot of problem in sales. If you have the view that you are eager to share solutions with people and help them build their business, because in their success is my success, if that's your mantra, in their success is my success, then you're going to do very well. And then finally, enthusiasm, enthusiastic to help them. Talk about a thing in Japanese called kokoro gamai. Kokoro gamai. Kokoro means your will or spirit, and gamai comes from kamai, which is a stance you take around that. And you see it in traditional Japanese martial arts, you see it in Japanese traditional arts, like ikebana or shodo. And what it means is your starting intention. Where is your heart, where is your spirit located at the start? If your location is all about me, well, that's going to be one line. If it's all about how can I help the client, that's a different track. Right? So you have to dig deep in yourself. What's my starting point here? Is this all about me and making my targets every month and keeping my job and hopefully making some money as a salesperson? Or is it about solving clients' problems? Totally different starting point. And your kokoro gamai, where you start intentionally, makes a big difference in where you finish. How can I serve more people? How can I help more people? That's where you need to be enthusiastic, excited about those things to be very successful. So sometimes we might want to dramatize a little bit our solution. Sometimes wake people up a little bit, intervene a little bit. So it should be relevant to what we're doing. Like you might, for example, do a mock-up of an ad, for example. They haven't requested one, but you go and get the design team to do a mock-up. And you show it to them. And they go, wow, that looks great. So you dramatize it. Got to be in good taste, of course. You've got to be comfortable with it. Shouldn't be a thing that's excessive, crazy. Positive result, memorable. So what are some things you could do to dramatize your solution? What are some things you could do to dramatize your solution? Remember, our clients, their heads are exploding with detail, information, pressures, concerns. They've got so much going on here. How do we get in there and make some room for our solution? What can we do to dramatize?
Compliment them.
Sorry?
Compliment them.
Compliment them, yes. How's the solution and the compliment work together then?
Oh, it's more just an opening into...
That's at your rapport stage, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about rapport now. I'm talking about we're at the solution stage. So you're presenting your solution. How can you dramatize the presentation of your solution? So you might bring, I'll make this up, but you might bring, say, a short size cappuccino coffee to the meeting, for example. And you're at the solution stage. And you hand it over and you say, please enjoy this cappuccino. By the way, the cost of that cappuccino is equivalent to the cost to reach your target audience over this 7-month program that we've planned for you. That would be very dramatic, wouldn't it? You've actually got a physical cup of coffee that's worth 200 yen or whatever it might be, and now you're linking it back, taking the numbers down. So that's a dramatization. Or you might bring in something that's, your art department might create something in foam and paint it, which has got a percentage on it. It's an actual physical thing. You can stand on the desk, and you come in, and you put it on the desk. You put it on the desk like that, stand it up, and you point out and you say, that's a percentage increase on average that our other clients have achieved after this particular promotion that we're suggesting would be the best one for you. Again, physical, visual, very dramatic in a way. So you're looking for things that are out of the ordinary but are not in bad taste, things that are not stupid, but think about how can I take what we've got here and dramatise, because you're at the solution provision stage. This isn't rapport now. We're at the end where we're trying to give them an idea, particularly when you're talking about evidence. All right? When you get to the evidence, that's where it could be very, very strong. All right? Very, very strong. Now, I don't know. I'm just making this up. But you might be able to take a still shot of someone's face, edit it into a video, for example, of an interview, and you have the interviewer asking a question, and then this person sitting there, you know, and you've put the face in the video, someone else's body, but their face. And you show them, this could be an example of how you could appear in this medium to your client base and appeal directly to them about the benefits of what you're offering. It's things like that. I mean, you've got the technical capacity to do all that sort of stuff, right? All we're saying here is, think about doing something positive, memorable, break through the clutter. So we've had rapport, getting the pleasantries, hi, thank you for seeing me. Getting attention, one of those CARES. Okay, you have a compliment, you have ask a question, you reference a referral, you're using some sort of education or startle, grab attention, or you're using a credibility statement or an agenda statement. Remember, we do the agenda statement as well. Then finding out what they want, as is, should be, barrier, payout, questions, capability statement. Yeah, we can do that. Here's an example of what it would look like to answer your what, primary interest, and also here's the motive, the things you're interested in. Then we go into solutions. So it's here's the need, fact, bridge to the benefit, draw out the application from the benefit, go into the trial close. Okay, I have to do the evidence. Then we go into resolving objections, motives, and commitments coming up a bit later. All right.